Hello, delicious people, and welcome to another episode of Intimate Conversations. I've only been talking to Soum here for like 5 minutes, and I'm already like, just be quiet. This is all so good. We want to get this on the recording. So we pressed record. We're so glad you're here. Let me read his bio to you, and then let's get away to a very delicious conversation about sexual health. So mysteryvibe.com is where you can find out more about this co-founder and CEO, Soumyadip Rakshit, an award-winning sexual health company, the Mystery Vibe. And Soum's role is CEO, and he focuses on pushing the boundaries of R&D, customer experience, and supporting their long-term goal of making sexual health an integral part of our overall health. And he passionately believes that empowering people with actionable knowledge and purposeful innovation is the way that this is going to happen. We've already talked about India, where he grew up, where I'm going in a couple weeks here. We've already talked about the annoying, maybe not annoying, the stubborn Capricorns in his life. I'm a Capricorn, so we're already having a wonderful conversation. Thank you for being up so late in London to be able to be here with us today. Happy New Year. How has your New Year been?
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me. I just love coming on shows and talking about sexual health because it's the only way we can bring about change.
Right, is to be in the conversation. Yeah. What we were talking earlier about your 3-year-old and about your dad, the Capricorns, etc., and that you grew up in Calcutta. So, and you went to an Irish Catholic school that taught you all about kindness. Did they talk about sex? Did they talk about sex at school when you grew up?
The only sex that we had was biology lessons about
Yes.
penis in vagina and pregnancy. But I think, sadly, that's the reality of most sex ed. My Irish Catholic school 40 years ago is probably not an exception. The real cutting edge sex ed happens in Scandinavia, where they talk about consent and pleasure and emotions, all the stuff that is sex, not just, obviously biology is important, but that is such a small part of it.
Yeah, exactly. And so how did you find your way to being the co-founder and CEO of Mystery Vibe? Like, how did that happen?
Long journey. So my PhD was in bioengineering, but in a very different field. So looking at eyes and building security systems in defense to recognize people by looking at their iris.
Wow.
But it was very similar in the way we created the tech, working with doctors, understanding human anatomy, building electronics to match. So what we do now is pretty much the same as what we did before, just a different part of anatomy. So after doing that, and you will have used our systems like in Dubai airport, in Amsterdam airport. So anything that looks at eyes and recognizing people.
Wow.
That's what we built back in 2004. So with my same co-founder from Smart Sensors, which was our company before, we wanted to do something again in bioengineering, really understanding how human bodies work, where we can apply our defense knowledge. And the thing that kept coming up is major life events like having a baby. How that impacts your life in sex and intimacy.
Yes.
And aging, menopause, erectile dysfunction for men, pain. It's something, as often as period pain or penetration pain. All of this is very prevalent, very common. Yet not many people talk about it. Not many people address it.
Yes.
So that's how, just talking to people about all of these topics, we realized we could do something, getting together with doctors, and again, going down the biomedical route of understanding anatomy and applying it using engineering to create products which can help recover after surgery, after cancer treatment, after childbirth, after menopause. How do you recover and get back to being the sexy you again? So that's the idea of Mystery Vibe, bringing mystery back into the bedroom.
Wow, this is fascinating. And so I'm going through perimenopause. I mean, my child is now large. He's a large child. He's like 19. So I think my vagina is back to normal after that. But I love what you're saying, but I'm not as clear about what the products are for different people who are experiencing the pain or the erectile dysfunction, or even as we were saying before the interview started, that it's not uncommon for people to go even up to a year without having sex in their relationship.
Or longer.
Or longer, yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us more about your products that you've developed and how they support people in these challenges.
So the first product is called Crescendo, and what it does, it bends to take various shapes. And why we designed it is mimic human fingers. Yeah.
Yes.
So the original concept for this came from midwives after childbirth, and they'll say use two fingers to massage either the perineum or the vagina where you've had scar tissues from stretch marks,
yes,
or cuts to heal. But it's very difficult for someone who's just gone through a major traumatic event to do that to themselves. So that's the original reason why we created this, so you can just hold it and bend it and deliver vibration as little or as much as you want, very precisely where you want.
Wow.
But then it became useful for other things. So now you can curve it in a way that it can hug the lower abdomen, which is just below the belly button, and help alleviate period pain. So fundamentally, what we do is, all we do at a very simple level is deliver very specific vibrations to very specific points, and that's it, right? Just two things: frequency and location.
Frequency and location.
And what that does is it recreates kind of massage, and massage is what helps with blood flow.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So most sexual health issues stem from blood flow issues.
Okay.
Erection is a really good example.
Yeah.
So our Tenuto device, it stretches to go on the penis. Then it vibrates the penis head.
Yeah.
Creates arousal.
Yes.
The penis slides in.
Yeah.
It sits at the base, constricts the blood flow so it stays erect.
Yes.
It has an opening to allow the semen to pass through if you want to have a baby.
Yeah.
Then it stimulates the perineum to stimulate more blood flow. And the front stimulates the labia of the partner.
Everybody's happy.
Yeah, exactly. And all of this is created to help ease into intercourse when, if a guy is struggling with erection for whatever reason, and a lot of the times it's psychological.
Yes.
And also during intercourse to help them stay erect. Often men orgasm sooner than women. So to stay erect and to use the vibration to help their partner orgasm while they're still inside.
Wow.
So it's quite a lot of things at the same time, and again, all to do with blood flow. And then our third device is a very compact, bendable device. Again, like the finger, but this is designed to be handheld and targeted, especially during intercourse, because often during intercourse, women need external stimulation in 9 out of 10 cases to create the arousal and the lubrication. So they can just hold it, or they can just place it and have it as a wearable.
So 1 second there, say that again, because I think a lot of women need to know that 9 out of 10
women need clitoral stimulation for orgasm as opposed to vaginal stimulation alone.
Right. And so to alleviate with this awareness, any shame that they're not wired properly or the plumbing isn't working. Exactly. So to be able to have...
and it is very much, so the clitoris is very similar to the penis head, the glans. So just like a man's stimulation comes from the head of the penis, stimulating the head is much more effective than, say, stimulating the base without the head. It is exactly the same mechanism in terms of blood flow. So if you stimulate the clitoris, the blood flows to all over the genitals, and it also would make it much more likely to have a G-spot orgasm afterwards. By starting from a clitoral orgasm, getting the whole area full of blood, full of lubrication, full of arousal,
Yeah.
have an orgasm first and then have a G-spot orgasm after. It's just
And
much
that
easier.
same turquoise one to do the G-spot after the
Yes, correct,
clitoral. Yeah.
yes. You can, because the G-spot is only 2 or 3 inches
Yeah.
on the upper or the front wall. So, this is enough. So you can then bend it and discover it where you need.
Wow. I'm
Yeah.
the opposite. I can have G-spot ones really easy, but not as easy for clitoral. That's
Oh, that's really, so you're definitely in the 10%. Yeah.
huh.
Yeah, because that's not common. That's great, because these orgasms are more powerful.
It's interesting. But they're not. Yeah. Well, to me, there's like maybe a finishing feel. Like the I can do like many G-spot ones or ejaculation, but they don't feel like I'm done until I have like a clitoral one.
Okay. I mean, the thing that we find from most of our study is no one feels they're done with one orgasm.
Oh, well, there's that maybe. Okay.
But that's generally how the arousal works. Is it's a curve, and the curve goes like this. So it's a small wave. You get aroused, and then you have an orgasm. You go down a bit, but then you don't go down all the way. So you go down a bit, and then you have your next arousal. It's
Yes.
much higher than the last one.
Yes.
Then you go down a bit after the next orgasm, and then or if you don't orgasm, you can edge all the way for a while, and that's just
Yes.
a much bigger explosive orgasm later. So I think that is the difference. And also the other thing we discovered, especially with Crescendo, is often people get used to doing the same thing to their body,
Yes.
and it loses its appeal,
Mhm.
and also the power of the arousal. So often what they do is they try to discover new regions to stimulate,
Yes.
or multi-stimulate.
Ah.
We have a remote control, a physical remote control, which
Uh-huh.
you can use to set 3 vibrators at the same frequency at the
Oh.
same time. So you
Oh.
could try, like a nipple stimulation, you could try a labia stimulation and an anal stimulation all at the same time.
Oh, this is getting quite
And
exciting
really,
soon.
really push the boundary on pleasure to a
Yeah.
different level. And that's what we always talk about is, you have to do stuff to keep the mystery in the bedroom, whether it's alone or with a partner is not that not really the main point. The point is, you could be alone and get bored, you could be with a partner and get bored.
Mm.
If you keep reinventing
Mm.
your pleasure routine,
Yeah.
then you will always have fun.
Mm.
And sometimes you will try things outside your comfort zone.
Sure.
Sometimes you will talk about things with your partner to see if they're up for it, and
Yes.
maybe the answer is no, but that's all okay. I think the key thing is having that conversation ongoing and trying new things.
Yes. So you're bringing, so we had the physical and in what the different, why they work, where they work, how they work, many of them work. But now let's go even deeper into this idea of the reinventing and the mystery. To me, in order to be that vulnerable, you have to be brave. In order to be brave, your heart has to be open. In order to be heart open, you have to do your inner work to heal any shame or taboo. Like there's a lot of layers to this. So
Yeah.
while you sound like you have great intellectual knowledge of like all the pieces of how to create these vibrators, we'll call them, you also sound like you have a great understanding of what's underneath when it comes to emotions and heart and safety and pleasure. Irish Catholic upbringing. Again, I'm like, how did that happen that you're so open and so desiring to let this people have healthy sex? How did that, just for you personally, and then helping others? How did you set
I
yourself
think that
free?
is more. I think that's just more. I guess thanks to my Indian upbringing, beyond my schooling, is I have always believed in the mythology of spirituality, as in it just makes logical sense to me that we are all connected, and everybody's just a soul, and the body is, irrelevant. um you just experience different things in different bodies, and once your body gets old, you just dump it, which is why death doesn't really exist in our thinking. You don't really
Yes.
die ever, your soul. So
Soul never dies.
right, so you have a body, and the body gets old, and it's a bit rickety, and you're like, okay, this is
Let's
not
get
a
a new
good
one.
body. Yeah, exactly, just get a new one. So it's really a very exciting thing, right? And then you go and experience a completely different world, which could be, in a different universe. But whatever it is, the point is, time is infinite, and you have
Mm.
all the time in the world, and you can
Mm.
experience, infinite things.
Yes.
So but that's just the fundamentals of what I think of.
Mm.
But from a sexual health and the connection perspective, I think the most intimate you can ever be is if your souls connect,
Yes.
and the energy, and you exchange your energy, and
Yeah.
you can truly be immersed into each other. um, and that can happen if you have that open conversation,
Yeah.
and an open soul, like you said, open mind, open heart.
Yeah.
Then you can let each other in, or
Yeah.
whoever you want to be
Connect
with
with.
at that point in time.
Yeah.
You can let that person in, and that can
Wonderful.
be very exciting. But that is quite theoretical. So what we try to do is write very specific step-by-step guides about very
Mm.
simple things. Talking about this is interesting, but it doesn't help people on a day-to-day basis. If I tell them open up and connect to your soul, they'll be like, how?
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. So what we talk about is, let's say, and I'll give you a real example. Let's say someone
Yeah.
wants to try a threesome with their partner. Okay, and we get these questions a lot, but they have no idea how their partner will react. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter, whether it's from a male perspective or female perspective. So what we tell them is, we live and find it for them. Find an article which is in a very reputable newspaper. So let's say New York Times has an article about threesomes, right? Not something like Playboy. Playboy is fine, but it's unlikely you can share it and not get asked questions if you don't have that kind of relationship with your partner. Like, why are you reading Playboy, right?
Yeah.
So, if you're reading New York Times or CNN, yeah, that's normal.
Yeah.
And then you share it by, and you don't say, this is cool. You say, this is interesting, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
hey, I came across, this is interesting. Look what people are up to these days,
Mm.
like funny, and then see their reaction. Because if they say, oh my God, people are weird, this is horrible, this is not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah.
But you don't take the hit, because if you talk about threesomes over dinner and say, hey, I want to try it, and your partner thinks you're a horrible person, that's not going to get you, that might get you into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So we do not recommend that. We,
Uh-huh.
don't just jump into it, without any warning.
Right.
So we always think, okay, how can we really give you actionable knowledge,
Yeah.
right? This is actionable knowledge. Here's the article. Share this, text it to your partner and say, hey, look, I came across this. This is very cool. No, sorry, this is not. This is very interesting.
Interesting. Yes.
What do you think?
What are your thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah. Find out what the thoughts are, and if it is positive, then you've got that. The rabbit hole has started, and then you can go deep into that hole together.
Nice.
And that's how you open that conversation, and from the conversation everything else can happen easily. And then we have like proper step-by-step guides on what to do in the bedroom. Like, start with self pleasure, discover your body,
Yes.
then start with massaging each other without anything sexual, so that it takes away the
Pressure.
need to perform.
Yes.
Yeah. Then try, if you're comfortable, masturbating yourself
Yes.
and next to each other, so you don't expect them to please you, just you please yourself, and then
Yes.
mutual masturbation, and then different positions, and like we try and give them very specific steps.
But they can
So,
win that. Like when you have a small contained step,
yeah,
and everybody knows the rules, the boundaries, the agreements, they can relax and they can have a win.
yeah,
And then you build on
yeah,
the win and build on the win. Yeah, I love it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, our approach to writing is quite engineering, which is, what we are. So
Yes.
it's like very, very simple. Like our sentences aren't very long, for example.
Okay.
It's like, try this. It's like, here's the Spotify playlist. Click on it, it will open your Spotify and play it. It's literally that. You don't even have to do any research. Like we've done
Right.
the research for you. Here, just click it. That's it.
Hmm.
So that's the kind of level we have been doing for the last 8 years. Is very, very actionable writing with a lot
Nice.
of research and a lot of it takes a lot longer to write something short. That's the
Yeah,
irony.
to make it concise. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it does.
because we'll write it, and then we will keep compressing till it's like really simple, and then, okay, fine, now it's ready to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And are you married? You have a 3-year-old. I'm assuming you're married, but I don't want to assume. Yeah. How, what does your wife think about your work? Did you meet her researching work?
So no. We've been together since university, so almost 20 years now. We started our company together. And one of the reasons was we always were fascinated. How do you keep a long-term relationship exciting? For ourselves, like, we've been together 20 years. How do you keep it exciting after 20 years? It's not obvious at all. It's not like, and it definitely doesn't happen if you don't do something about it.
Thank you.
So it needs proactive things. It's not natural. It's not automatic.
Yeah. And what works best for you and your wife? And then I'm sure you just teach the rest of the world through your company what you've learned.
So I think it depends on the phase of her life. So for example, pre-kid, our life was totally different. We could try, and because we've always been very open about sex and sexual pleasure and health, we could always try things and it wouldn't even be a thing. Whereas once you have a kid, you have so much admin around it. Like, you can't just go out for an all-night party anymore.
No, you can't just even have sex because they'll walk right in.
Exactly. So then you have to figure out, okay, how do you get a babysitter who's going to stay no one stays over. Very few people will get an overnight babysitter. So then you start leaving parties at midnight and everyone's like, you have a baby now? Yes, we have a baby now. You're leaving really early. So we just, navigate the admin of having a kid. But it's okay. I think it's okay because we made a conscious decision to have a lot of fun to a certain, for a number of years, like 15 years, and then have a baby. So when we're not really fussed about it, because we did our, like I was 36, maybe, so 36, 37. So I was pretty happy. That's, we waited enough time to feel like we enjoyed our non-baby life for at least a decade or more.
Beautiful. And what a wonderful, free, open, non-judgmental, shame-free environment for your son to grow up in, with being able to talk about sexuality, no taboos, and openness. I'm looking at all these toys thinking of your 3-year-old, because my son would find my vibrator in my bed. What's this? He goes, it's mommy's toy. And I remember back, because he's now 19, they didn't have the plug-in vibrators yet. It was all still batteries. And so I would sometimes go down in the middle of the night to some of his toys. I'm like, I need batteries. Like, and I would take, and in the morning his toys wouldn't work. And I'm like, right. And so I'd give him his batteries back. But has your 3-year-old found these toys? And what?
He finds them all the time.
I'm sure.
And then he chucks them around.
He chucks them around. Got it. Because I remember when my son was 3, he understood he had pleasure with his penis. And I said, that's beautiful. And I just started to say, and when we have friends over for dinner, not everybody is as open as we are. So we just please ourselves in our bedroom and not at the dinner table. And he was like, okay. So,
not at the dinner table. Yeah.
Well, because he would at the dinner table, because why stop? Oh, so proud of his penis. It was so cute. Poor kid. He used to work in my company doing transcribing my videos for SEO, and he's like, I can't handle this, Mom. You talk about sex. You're my mother. I can't do this. So it'll be curious to see how your child moves into your company. I'm curious, Soum, about the way in which you do a step-by-step guide to help people have more soul, heart, vulnerable connection in the bedroom. What are some of the steps you take when it's a little more esoteric, but still making it practical?
That one's a bit tricky. So things we write about is very medical stuff with doctors, like, let's say you're recovering from prostate cancer.
Right.
What steps do you, in those we don't write ourselves. We get very leading doctors to write about it.
Yeah.
Things which are related to quite fundamental pleasure, things like the ones I was telling you about, that's what we have. So we have researchers based in Miami, actually, our head of research. She does most of the research and writing. When it comes to the, or I would say things that need therapist or sex educator,
Yeah.
we refer people to, geographically wherever is relevant or online.
Yeah.
Because I think that is the easiest next step when people are ready. So for us, it's more telling people, these options exist.
Right. Encouraging them to take that
And
next
it could be, let's say somebody's looking for their first sex party to try, and we'll have done lots of research on lots of different parties in all over the world, and then say, oh, you're in New York, you could check out these. We know they're very safe. They're run by people we know and trust.
Got it.
This is what you can expect. So we wouldn't tell them that if someone comes to us and says, oh, yeah, I want to spice up my marriage, what should I do? We would not tell them, hey, go and do this, right?
Right.
Like go to a sex party. We would tell them, these are the 20 things you could do.
Right.
You will know which one appeals to you. Then use that technique to find out from your partner whether that appeals to them.
Right.
And then once you both have decided you want to try it, then here are the list of
some resources,
places you can go and check it out. So that's how we do things in terms of functional advice. Because it's all written content, it's all research content. We don't have any we do email correspondence with people if they ask us questions, but we don't really do one-to-one consultancy.
Right.
So we tell them, hey, why don't you go check out all of these amazing sex therapists and educators and just people who are healthcare professionals.
Yes.
As needed.
So it's really so it sounds like the company is really about obviously making a profit from the products that you sell, education, collaboration, being a resource, etc. What are some things you're looking forward to this year or in the next 3 to 5 years that you're creating that really light you up?
I'm very excited about a new product we're creating specifically for perimenopause and menopause. Because we've been working on it for 3 years now. So and it is so ironic. It started from this penis device.
Yes.
Which we never thought would be used by a menopause doctor on a female only setting.
Yeah.
So what happened was a lot because it's kind of the same age group of users who have the men have the ED after 40, and perimenopause sets in around 45, 50. So it's similar age group. So what happened was they were using these on the men to help them have better erections. But what they found is this front bit is perfect for the female stimulation and to create better arousal pre-intercourse. So it's very specific to how do you arouse before penetration.
Yes.
And then as we talked about it, as the doctors talked about it to us, we thought, okay, we didn't really design this for that, and it's not that convenient. Why don't we make something which is specifically for the labia? And it's like this, but it has lots of joints. So you can, make it very slim, make it very wide, just with your hand.
Just
to
because
make
every vagina is a different shape. So
exactly, and
yeah,
then it's curved, so you can make it really hug your
yes,
labia precisely, and it has motors all around, so it gives you complete 360 arousal, and the vibrations can go like around, running, or full on, and
right.
and you just hold it. That's it. You just hold it, and it stimulates your full labia, gets lots of blood flowing, lots of arousal, lots of lubrication, and you don't even have to take it off. You can just open it a little bit, and
Oh,
then the penis can go in.
there you
So,
go.
so yeah, it took us a long, long time. 3 years of a lot of designing, trying, but it's almost ready. It will come out in summer, so I'm really excited about that.
Oh my goodness. So am I. So am I. The
Yes, and then the next one, which might be next year, is we're working on something quite different, which is preventative care on prostate cancer. Prostate cancer
oh,
is probably the biggest cancer of all, and
really?
uh, because almost every man at some point has it.
Really?
Yeah, but
What do you
so
think's up
often
with that?
often it could be like in their 80s or 90s, which is
Uh-huh.
why it's not 100% reported. But the reason for that, um, and actually I would say I would qualify it, almost every um, straight man has it, and the reason for that is most straight men do not play with their prostate,
Hmm.
and
Why?
the
I mean, I'm sorry, I'm
prevention.
a girl. I don't know. I don't get it, but help me understand.
So the prostate cancer happens because secretions that naturally come from the prostate accumulate, and when secretions accumulate over decades, they might become cancerous, which is not that different from breast cancer, which becomes lumps, and then you look for lumps.
Yeah.
But in a prostate, the only way you can detect it is by putting a finger and checking it, which is what urologists do. You
Yes.
can't do it like as a man. You can't do it to yourself and check it. Unlike a breast check, you can do it yourself. So
Yes.
what happens then is, um, even though doctors will tell you you should check yourself at least once a year with a urologist after you turn 50, most men don't do it. They don't. They're scared of someone putting in gloved finger
In
up
their
their
anus.
ass,
Yeah, I get it.
and it's not comfortable at all. But if you turn it around
Yeah.
and make it about anal play, prostate massage, very
Yeah.
erotic,
Yes.
then it's fun, and that's what we are creating with this device, which is only one finger thin, so it will be super thin,
Yeah.
because it's for men who have never put anything
Experience
in their
that.
ass. Yeah, was very
Wow.
scared. And it will not only create amazing orgasms from anal stimulation, but also do the same job of putting a finger and massaging the prostate,
Yeah, for
reduce
health.
secretions, and reduce the chances of prostate cancer. So
Wow.
yeah, so that's the next one I'm very excited about, but it's a little bit more complicated because it's like a finger, but the whole thing is malleable, so it just
Yeah.
takes the shape of the rectum as you go in. So it's very, very specific technology.
Wow. That's
Maybe next year.
beautiful. And then we get back to how do you have the conversation,
Oh
and
yes.
in order to say, I'd like to explore your anus. I'd like to make sure you don't have prostate cancer,
Mhm.
or for her feeling back to the menopause one that's coming out this summer, the shame often of not being able to come, or disappointed that he comes fast and then she's not satisfied. And there's this
Yeah.
whole arousal gap that most of humanity is not aware of. There's nothing wrong with her. It's just how she's wired. There's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with him. It's how he's wired. But if you can close this arousal gap, which it sounds like this product can, then you can have two happier people.
Yes.
And I love this. And so what do you have in your guides, like how to bring it up, or how to
Yes. So
bring toys into the bedroom? Or,
interestingly, what we find, especially on the female products, it's mostly bought by men as gifts for their partners, and that's what we've learned. And that's also something we learned talking to our peers, other brands in sex tech.
yeah.
They find that uh, surprisingly, a majority of female sex toys are bought by men.
Oh, the
Um,
majority?
a majority of female sex toys are bought by men in the premium segment. So the $100 plus category.
Yeah.
As gifts, because, and there's a really easy explanation to it, because one, it makes them look very good. It's a nice gift, they're buying a very nice toy. Two, it reduces, I think, it helps them get into bed and have sex. So that's always a plus. But more importantly, it takes away that pressure to perform.
True. It's not all on them.
Exactly. It's about, so, imagine your partner buys a really sexy, cool toy, and you get into bed together. Your first probably, 10, 20, 30 minutes will be just about you and you alone, and playing with the toy and all the things you can do.
Yeah.
And that gives him a lot of time to get aroused, get ready, get erect.
And get out of his head.
Exactly. So there's this huge benefit from a guy perspective on buying a good, high quality toy for the woman. And it also makes them look very good as a partner. They care about the
pleasure. Yeah.
Buying things for them. So it ticks every box. So that's why majority of female sex toys, premium quality sex toys, are bought by men.
Yeah.
So then the selling point is buy this. So it's aimed at the man, and the conversation starter is, here's a gift from a guy's perspective. Here's a gift I found after a lot of research that will, take your orgasm to the next level, and I want your orgasm to be the next level. And that's a really easy conversation.
Totally, right?
Because there is nothing that can backfire. Like, you're being a better lover.
Yeah.
You did research to buy something which has nothing to do with you. Like, you're not getting anything. It's her toy.
Yeah.
And you want to give her all that pleasure. So, like, there is no risk.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement.
It's a very different conversation from, say, you've never tried anal and you want to try anal. That's a very different conversation. That's like, you're trying something you don't really know if your partner will like. But if you've had, if you have sex with your partner and you add something which makes sex better,
yes,
it's pretty easy.
Yeah, and then you can build on these wins as well. You start with this toy, then the next toy, then the next toy, and then as you age as a couple, it's not strange to have support with the ED or the menopause or the etc. I love this.
And you know what we found from most of our research is, most people are open to trying toys. They just don't know which one.
Which one?
Yeah, they just don't know which one, because they don't have the depth of understanding, because there's so many toys out there. They don't really know what will work for them. Also with toys, because it's intimate, you can't just buy and return things. Once you've used them, you kind of it goes in the bin, basically.
Totally.
So that is another barrier to trying new toys. So it's all of these things that we have to explain to users how to overcome these barriers in order to try their first toy.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what you know about me, but you're cool. And I can't wait to try the new one coming up too. And I have a question about one of the other ones. I'm, as I was saying, starting a partnering app, because I think the dating apps don't teach people how to have these conversations. They don't teach about healthy sexuality. They don't teach how to have hard conversations, keep your heart open, all that kind of stuff. They just want you to get back on the app and stay single eventually, because that's how they make their money. But I would like people to, I call it become the one, to find the one, which keeps the one. So you learn about intimacy, you learn about communication, you actually literally practice live once a week, coming on and asking these deep conversations like you were talking about, give them the New York Times article. Isn't it interesting? Like, we have these ways, we call them dyads, like, tell me something about you and pleasure. And then you talk about that very same question, and all you get to say is, thank you. And then you switch. Or maybe, and then over time, tell me something about you and your fears around sexuality. Tell me something about you and anal pleasure. Like, you can go anywhere with these when the other person is only going to say, thank you. And thank you doesn't even mean I agree. It just means I heard you. And isn't it true that really we just want to be heard and understood, not necessarily, maybe our ego wants to be right, but I think our soul just wants to be heard. So as I'm updating my curriculum this summer, we're relaunching the partnering app this summer. That's why I'm going to India to get the app friggin' working. Is every single month to have a toy and like a little challenge with yourself or with your partner on how to continue to expand the safety, the intimacy, the playfulness, and as you call it, the mystery. So I want to definitely stay in touch so I can offer this to the subscribers, because to me, sexuality is so sacred and such a fundamental part of our relationship. If that's not thriving, it's very hard for the rest of the relationship to thrive. So
yeah, that's a very good quote on that, which says only 90%, no, so only 10% of a relationship is about sex, or less than 10% is about sex and pleasure, but 90% of problems arise from the lack of it.
There you go. Okay, I'm writing that down. Yeah, it's true.
It's true, because like, if you think of 24 hours a day, how many minutes, even if you did have sex every day, which is not at all common,
right,
it wouldn't be more than 10-20 minutes.
Yeah,
and that's in a whole 24 hours. So less than probably 1% of someone's relationship is sex.
Yeah,
right, but major problems happen from not
yeah,
having that one.
because the amount of connection and surrender and joy and the health and all these different, all these different wonderful benefits come from it. One question I wanted to go back to, that the first one you showed me, the purple one, the fuchsia one. I was on the show, that one, a show called The Doctors years ago. And I was an intimacy expert doing my little shtick. And I was talking about the difference between like a clitoral, a G-spot, and a cervical orgasm. And the doctor said, there's no such thing as a cervical orgasm. And they cut me to commercial. And I was like, oh, and not that I'm like a tantrika or a sex expert or a PhD or whatever, like a lot of the people you research with. And though I've read, and back to the soul conversation, when a woman's able to have a cervical orgasm, it can be very emotional, very healing, very, very soulful. So in all of your research and with that little device, what have you learned about cervical orgasms?
So the only thing I have heard related to that is some women have orgasms while giving birth.
Yes. Yes, it's very, well, in my world, I wouldn't say common, but yeah.
No, I don't think it's common, but I've read about it. It's in real stories. But that's the only thing I can think of, which would might be cervical orgasms. It's not something I have, got
done
direct.
Research about.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now you've got a product for 3 years down the road. You got one for this summer, you got one, the prostate one for next year. Because I've heard, and I haven't had one, but I've heard that there's a lot of emotion stored back there, which would make sense, especially if you had a kid and it's open.
But you know what? I think maybe, so when you experience tantric massage, they use energy from their hands to move the energy in your body.
True.
And they might be able to move all of that energy stored in the cervix.
It's true.
And that could come out as a big orgasm.
True.
But you would just feel so hot, during that session, that your whole body is like on fire, but it's in a very good way. And then when you have that massive explosive orgasm at the end, you just feel like all the stress and negative energy is all gone. It's just you're at bliss.
There you go. Beautiful. Yeah, because some of your products look good for, there's some women that have like numbness in the vaginal wall or pain in certain areas. And I know there's different somatic sexual healing practitioners and ways to support them with fingers, but it seems like your products could also address any of these issues that really could be put in there from trauma from rape or, being mistreated as a kid and really shutting down. So there's a lot of beautiful ways your products can support people. I love it.
Yeah, you know what? Our product can do whatever a human finger can do.
Yeah.
But a bit better. That's pretty much it. So anything you can think, my fingers would do this. Our product would do that.
I love it. I love it. Okay, well, everyone, mysteryvibe.com is where they can purchase these. And I'm sure getting on your list will allow that labia one that's coming out for us menopausal ladies in the summertime. From your beautiful heart, your brilliant mind, a practical man, married with a kid, up at Lord knows what time it is in London right now, probably 1 a.m. Sweet man, thank you. How would you like to end this interview? What would you like to share with the viewers and the listeners?
Be kind. Always be kind, because you don't know what the other person's going through.
Mm.
And that applies to anything, work or love or sex. Because I think it's very easy to respond to anger with anger, fear with fear. I think if we all took a step back and thought about things before we reacted, it would make if someone is struggling, it would make their struggle less. So I think always be kind, because you don't know what the other person's going through.
Your 12 years of your school in Calcutta really paid off. It was ingrained into you. Yeah, hurt people, and healed hearts heal hearts. Yeah, kindness. Thank you. You're lovely. I'm so grateful that you've been on the podcast. Again, mysteryvibe.com, and you can write in obviously with your questions, etc. And I look forward to staying in touch with you about your products weaving through my HeartMates curriculum, because this is really a personal passion of mine, and that there is so much pleasure. And I do believe when we are healthy in our bodies and free in our communications, it's easier to be kind. It's because we're being kind to ourselves.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very,
All
very
right.
true.
Well, thank you so much
for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. And all of you, take an action after listening to these conversations. I want them to be inspiring. I want them to make you think, but I want them to make you take a different action that you normally wouldn't have taken. So get yourself one of those vibrators and bring it into your own life or your relationship, and let Soum and me know how it's changed your life. That's why we're on the planet, for you. All right. All my love to you, Soum, and to all of you viewers and listeners. Mwah.